But the guys I used to run with, if somebody mess with one of them, well, you messing with all of them. You ain't gonna bully him, I know that, because I'm not gonna let you bully nobody over here. So you can take them bully tactics somewhere else, or we can go ahead and get it over with right now. That's up to you. It no matter to me, one way or the other. I want the smoke the same way you do. I want peace the same way you do. If you want the smoke, I want the smoke. If you want peace, I want peace. And we can do it however. That's how I was. I'm not gonna look for you, but I'm gonna bump into you.
Yeah, and we
And when
ain't
I
gonna
bump
push.
into you, you're gonna remember me.
Yeah, like I remember I used to tell like in the set, I used to tell people, hey, don't if I saw a dude pressing him and I say, oh yeah, he don't and the dude act like he don't want it, I say, I let him make it, cause he don't want it, let him make it. He's nigga was talking first, but now you press him and he oh man, now Hey, so we ain't never press nobody too hard that they want you don't want no trouble. Well, don't start no shit, it won't be no shit, right? You know what I'm saying?
I know
Yeah.
I'm bone crusher, baby. I ain't never scared. I
Yeah.
ain't never scared.
Hey, we about to get up out of here, man. Hey, we got 1,200 people in here, man. Raw Hayes don't do it for the money, but we got this cash app on there, man. If y'all want to show him some love, everybody send him $1. That'll be 1,200, man. That'll put him in the game so we can keep these. We got to keep Chief good so we can get these updates on the land, man. So because we're in a critical time now, we're going to a critical time. 2025, a lot of prophecies have been said to happen that year, like about the earthquake, a whole bunch of things. The switching of the government. There's a whole not bunch of stuff. So we need to stay live, stay alert for this coming up. 2030, Doc spoke about 2030, the end of the devil's rule, the complete end of his world. So we looking at the parasites being removed, whole bunch of stuff going on. So we need to stay updated. Shout out to everybody that's came in, man. Hit that like, hit that
And
subscribe button. What you got to say, Rod? You got anything you want to say?
parents, talk to your children and let them know that the National Guard not here for us to stay out them people way. Because we don't want them to get caught in something that they totally innocent, but they get treated like the enemy. If they do the martial law, just follow the curfew because there's going to be some dastardly deeds taking place under the cover of darkness. There's going to be a whole bunch of good men doing some real bad stuff to some truly wicked individuals. And they're not taking no prisoners and they're not asking no permission. It's not going to be pretty. Y'all need to know this now. Y'all need to sit them boys down, have a conversation with them. Wherever you at, make sure you're going to be where you're going to be at the curfew. You don't want to be transitioning during the curfew and get caught up with the wrong crowd. We don't want that to happen. This is about them judges, them lawyers, and some of them got private military of mercenaries that they've paid very well to not let these National Guards people take them in. You may have shootouts between different factions of private military forces and National Guard in your city, but I don't know which city it might be. It could be any one of them. They everywhere and they about to get cleaned up. These private militaries, they caught one in upstate New York a couple of years ago, and it was staffed with a whole bunch of Chinese orphans. And it was under the control of George Herbert Walker Bush through his CIA connection. And they blew it up. I posted about it when it was fresh, but they blew it up. If I run across the post in my memories or something, I'll repost it on Facebook. But they blew that damn military base up. They had something like 2,000 soldiers up there. So it can be gunfights in the streets, but it don't have to have nothing to do with us unless we go putting ourselves in other folks' business. Don't got nothing to do with us. Let them clean this month up. Don't get caught in the crossfire. Don't be collateral damage because there's something in the military during warfare called collateral damage. Just because you got switches, they got some switches for your switches. They got way more stuff to fight this war than we do in the hood.
Right.
And it's some niggas in the hood they coming to get too. Believe that. They've been doing a lot of dirt for a long time, and people know who they is. You know who them dirt dealers is in your local town that don't nobody like to talk about because they're scared they're going to come up missing.
Right.
They coming to get them. They know who they is. There ain't no hide. Ain't nowhere to run. Ain't nowhere to duck. Ain't nowhere to hide.
That's deep.
They coming to get them. I'm telling y'all now, they coming to get them. All the dirt dealers, these people, this military, with the assistance, the National Guard has been given the permission to utilize special forces from the U.S. military branches, Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines to do this operation to get these MFs off the land. And they're not who you think. They're not going to be based on skin color.
Right.
Because they're going to look every color under the sun. Wherever people at, it's going to be somebody that look like that in the cleanup. But they dirt speak for itself. Most of us know who them dirty players is in our local town. They coming to get us. You thought because of the whispers that wasn't they was going untouchable, they probably didn't got a.
Go ahead.
Type Tom Mary in your thing and read what it say when I get. So Tom Mary means the land of Mary. Where is Tom Mary?
It's pronounced Mary, which is pronounced
It's Ty hyphen M-A-R-I.
Yeah.
Or M-E-R-I.
Like Tamaray.
It's starting to click. I hear your synapses making connections now, Elder.
Yep. Hey, look, that's Big Mama land. Hold up. Damn, why the hell ain't
Okay, now you gotta remember why we talking about Mary. The Latin definition for Mary is rebellious woman, but it was adapted from the Greek, Marie.
Yeah,
right?
Mary. Yeah.
And
right.
and they got it from Kemet when they called Egypt Tamiri. They didn't call it Egypt. They didn't call it Kim. They called it Tamiri.
The land of Mary. Nana's land.
Right. Now, if it's the land of Mary, where do Mary live at? On her land.
Go ahead, Rod. I'm trying to find it.
Right.
Yeah.
Mary, on her land, she lives in the most lavish of the palaces. Big Mama house.
Go ahead.
You always know Big Mama house because it has a picket fence in front of it. But in the ancient times, they was colossal pillars.
Go ahead.
Pull up the picture of the Temple of Dendera. You can't show it on there right now.
I gotta reset my computer to get it where the show because it won't even pull it up because I had to right before we went on, it started doing what it do, and I didn't get a chance to fix it.
All right, now remember,
hold down computer.
The Romans stole the sacerdotal seat,
Big
Mama's seat, and seated the Pope beneath Big Mama's seat. Right? Now, the land of Mary was called Mary, but the home of Mary or the house of Mary is also called the lighthouse.
Go ahead.
Why do they call it the lighthouse? Why do they call it the lighthouse?
Because is it dealing with the ejaculation of the foul
no.
I know
at the top of the
lighthouse.
Right.
Yeah.
Pharaoh means lighthouse, but the Pharaoh is not the man. When we talking about Hatshepsut being the man Pharaoh, the Pharaoh has never been the woman. if you look the etymology of Pharaoh up in the Egyptian codex, you find out that it literally is a feminine word, and then they used it in ancient times in reference to the Pharaoh's wife.
Go ahead. I'm gonna take
The
that up.
Pharaoh's wife is the one who gives him his ability to rule by blood right.
Now I heard that. I heard that part because that's why they got the statues with the woman standing holding her hands on the male like this, right? If you look at most of the statues before they came in for the Europeans,
you know the statue you see with the brother got a woman on each side of him.
Is that no, that's not the one with well Osiris. That's because that's Osiris and Haru.
I think it's Ramses. He got two women.
Ramses the second, right?
Right. He got one on each side of him.
Yeah.
And the reason that he have one on each side, that's called uniting of the two kingdoms.
Okay, go ahead.
Remember, Egypt was split into Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. Right?
Yep, that's right.
There's two different kingdoms that was ruling simultaneously, and it was unified under, I think it was Namnar when he overthrew the Hyksos.
Okay.
No, Namnar is supposed to be the first pharaoh.
No, it was Agmos and Cogmos. They to cut the race to cut the rate Tosun. The Agmos, well, it was Cogmos went after the dude first, and then once Cogmos.
No, I'm not talking about the priest wars.
No,
I'm talking about the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt. But when
okay, all right, yeah.
So once they unified
it was Antanankin that did that, wasn't it? Once he went down, knocking all the gods and stuff down. Was it Antanankin?
No, that was the priest wars.
Okay,
that was priest wars. That was the wars that was going on in the pharaoh's harem among high-ranking matriarchs that argued the dispute about
the gods,
whether the gods should be seen from the public or whether they should be concealed.
What was the pharaoh name? I know who you're talking about too. That learned out in Upper and Middle Egypt. Remember his name, bro. Shit. No.
Okay, so look, they once they unite them, it had to be what's called a sacred marriage. A sacred union is the only way he can unite two kingdoms. That means he had to bring a wife from both kingdoms under the same roof. And they have to be on board with it with him. So in other places, in the modern secret society terms, it's the marriage of the red house and the blue house.
Yeah, Dozer. It might have been Dozer. Imhotep's pharaoh.
I don't remember. I don't want to go over it into detail and to be the wrong ones. But anyway,
research on this.
Right. So the term pharaoh is actually properly translated as the woman of the house. She is the light of the house. Right. Because it's derived from the tribal practice of the mothers tending to the children and the father protecting the grounds and being a husband on the land. We think a husband means she just married a man and now it's her husband. Husband is an actual distinct title that carries a lot of responsibilities under the function.
Go ahead.
If a woman is married and they don't live on a farm, she don't got a husband. She got a corporate union now.
Go ahead.
She don't got no husband. She tricking herself because the government tricked both of them. The marriage license is a permission slip from the corporate government to merge two corporations under a common interest.
Facts.
Right? And notice what they call it, a marriage.
Good.
Right? And the reference is the age of Mary. How old was Mary when she gave birth to the so-called Christ?
13, they say.
Right? So if you go back to just to the 50s, almost every state, the legal age of marriage was 13, but the legal age of sexual consent was always variable by state.
Go ahead.
Some states, the age of consent was 12, others it was 18. In all of the ages in the middle, right? Now remember, in Mexico, they have something called quinceañera. The quinceañera is the woman announcement by her family that she's mature enough and that she is trained well enough to become a bride. So now they present her and bring her out to the public so she can take on suitors to determine what family she's going to merge with. Now, in the other parts of America, in the English-speaking part, it was a sweet 16.
Go ahead.
Right? Which was for the same purpose.
Yeah.
And the girl got to pick whoever the hell she wanted.
Go ahead.
Right? And they normally taught her the one that can be the best husband is the one with the farm. The ones in the city didn't know how to get married.
Go ahead.
Those were your stags. Those were your bachelors sowing their royal oats among the harlots of the city. So that's why they ran us all out the country. So they can mix us all up and confuse us about the structure and the order of the natural life of the land.
Hey, Fourth Elder said that Nanar was the one that united Upper and Lower Egypt. Nanar, Menes. I think one of his name is Menes, right? Fourth Elder.
Namar is Namar's name.
Yeah, no, I think one of his names. I think Doc said one of his names was Menes too, or he called him Menes or something like that.
Well, some of them changed their name. Like his name probably was something else before he became the ruler. Then he changed his name.
Yeah.
Right. Now, the problem came in when you had people with different cultures imposing their culture against the will of the people that don't want their culture. Right. And this is how you had the conflict in Egypt. Right. So we go back to the uniting of the two cities, the Upper or Lower Egypt. And the reason why you see the man with two wives is because he's governing over two kingdoms, two bloodlines, two royal bloodlines. And he is the most qualified man to keep the balance between the three. A two-ball game. Right? And the women have to know which role they play in order to assist him in activating the birthright that they have through their mitochondria, because they the source of the wealth.
I remember a long time ago, you told me to look up the rules of a longhouse, and it just came back to me today. And they was talking about, I was reading about the clan mothers. And they were saying that the clan mother have power to pick the chiefs. They pick the chiefs from when they born, and then they also watch the little boys as they growing up to see who would be the best leader amongst them, and they pick that leader. And they got the power to make him to impeach the chief.
Yeah, the clan mothers can get together and say he's not doing a good job as a chief. We put too much on his shoulders, remove him from his position and take his duties from him and hand them to the people that's best. Under the matriarchy, the rule is the most qualified person to fulfill the function must perform the job until another qualified person comes along. Either you're going to train one up to replace you so you can retire, right? Or one of them, the matriarchs is going to give instructions. He going to train himself to be better than you are so you can retire. But you can't go nowhere. You obligated to hold that post until your replacement in ability to carry on the function to the next level, or at the minimum to maintain the successes that you carry. Right? That's under the matriarchy. That's the rules.
Right.
Just because you got a PhD, you might still not be qualified for the position that you went to school for.
Right. That's damn sure right.
You got a bunch of educated fools out there.
Another thing, man, I got a question for you. I noticed that because Doc was teaching about this, that in religion it's mostly stimulated towards the mitochondria in the mother, like as far as the shape of the buildings with the mosque and the churches
Well, it's a
having
lot of sexual overtones to religious constructed buildings.
right.
Like the minaret is a phallic symbol, but the dome of the temple is a mammary gland.
Go ahead.
All right, we talking Baphomet,
Yeah.
balancing the masculine and the feminine to become the goat.
I remember also you broke down in DC how the layout is built like a woman, how that obelisk is coming up out of is like looks like a
Yeah,
woman.
that's supposed to symbolize. Okay, so what you're looking at
Okay.
is the obelisk is coming out of what's called the Vesica Pisces.
Okay, that's right. I seen that.
The Vesica Pisces is also an ancient yoni symbol.
Okay.
Which is also the Christian fish symbol.
And it looked like a vajayjay too.
Yeah, that's the yoni.
Fish, yeah, the fish symbol. It's dealing with so go back to what I was saying about the women's
Look, that ain't right. I just smell like fish, sardines, tuna, but they got something going on down there that ain't right.
That's funny. That's funny as you say that. But okay, so yeah, so the whole DC really. So
Brother Love say his other name. Brother Love say his other name is Menez.
Yeah, Menez. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought I heard Doc say before. Now, so it stands the reason that if they were laying all this architect based on the woman, and the whole, because I remember you telling me, in order for them to set that DC up, they had to get the approval of the matriarch and the woman based on how they laid the whole layout.
Or usurper.
Huh?
Or usurper. Lie on her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. That's the sweetheart swindle.
Yeah.
Mary Big Mama poisoned her off and say she told you to sell the land.
Yeah, lying bastard.
We all know that's some BS because all of the chiefs say you ain't supposed to sell, we can't sell you the land, we don't own it.
Yeah, we don't own it. How can we go sell you something?
So they wrote paperwork that said they own it, that we was delusional and instituted the salvage right. Yeah. And the squatter's right is a byproduct of that.
Colonialism in its highest form.
Yeah, and it falls under the discovery doctrine as first right of discovery.
Yeah.
But how the hell you discover it if we already here? They said because there was no royalty over here, we were savages.
Yeah, facts.
That was the consensus of Lewis and Clark after the expedition because all of the chiefs was gone to Florida.
Fighting. That's right.
We went south and east. They went north and west. Came back and reported that the crash site was much bigger than they thought it was when we crashed our landmass into their ship.
Yeah. Crash.
That's what I'm about to say. Remember,
y'all bastards, boy. I'll tell you, man. Like this, what I was trying to figure out. I know that they ain't have no land of their own, so they wanted to take everybody else's shit. But it's saying like, man, what kind of beings are these that don't want to, trying to go off and do for self? They want to just take everybody else's shit and make everybody else suffer. Like, I mean, we know devils, but they got to be worse than devils, man. They just won't give up, would it?
The devil just mean enemy.
Yeah, no, adversary, right?
Yeah, the opponent. That's you against you.
Yeah, right.
You're your own devil, and you your own savior in the same body.
That's right. That's right.
It's your perception that determines which one you're gonna be.
That's right.
Right, and the noble heart. I mean, the noble character betrays the golden heart of the royal ones.
Right.
They naturally behave in a manner that makes them respectable. That's their nature.
Right.
Right. And we got all of the platinum group medals among the human family when we talking about character of heart.
Right.
And the weaker ones are the lesser metals, the iron and the lead. It's all about perspective. So
how important is the mitochondria? And say like, okay, what we eat, preserving that and keeping that, because Doc was talking about how the mitochondria can study record and study adapting and changing. and with the genetics and who you mix with and all this, it affects the mitochondria. Could you go in on how important it is to keep that mitochondrial, the food you eat or whatever you do, it affects that mitochondria? Is it something you got some on that?
Look, okay. In order for the DNA to upgrade itself,
okay,
it has to have some kind of program of self-analysis.
Mm-hmm.
This self-analysis is done through the powerhouse because the powerhouse was absorbing and re-emitting the membrane information from the epigenetics from the membranes of the cell. So the membrane of the cell talks to the center of the cell where the mitochondria is powering the DNA chains.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And from the membrane, the crystals in the DNA is telling information to the mitochondria. Over any group, over any period of time, you will see similarities in the genetic changes that takes place gradually.
Mm-hmm.
Because the women are steady assessing the men's Y chromosome, and this is why it's only one of them.
Right.
Right. You don't have 3 Y's and 1 X. You got 3 X's and 1 Y. And the Y is lacking about 30 to 40% of the genetic information as an X.
Right.
And then you look at it under the microscope, you will see that the Y is really a mutated X.
Go ahead.
Right. So the mitochondrial is the computer that scans the genetics in order, when the solar flare comes, you're gonna know what I'm talking about. In order to upgrade the DNA,
mm-hmm.
right? When you look at the other way, how do it change other than gradually? Sudden changes due to solar events. This is what they tell us it happened in history.
That's right.
All of the DNA that ever changed was interfered with by radioactive UV rays from the sun throughout history.
Yeah, because
in all species.
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, the DNA is programmed to perpetually repeat itself through the RNA DNA sequence and resequencing.
Right. That's what I was talking about.
Right. Why do the DNA have to break into 2 RNA strands and go find 2 other RNA strands to recombine and reform another DNA strand? This exchange in information that one strand had that the other strand didn't.
Right.
Right. And so once you understand how it's working, then you understand how it works and what's taking place within the biology of the self. So as they say, man, know thyself. When you study yourself, you study the universe. When you study the universe, you study yourself.
The big question they have is which is older? Is mitochondria older than the man? If mitochondria come from the mother, is mitochondria older than the man?
Look, it was a time when there was no Y chromosome. So that tell you that the mitochondria is older than the man. That's why the man can't pass it. The part that was required in the genome for the man to pass mitochondria is the part of the X chromosome that's cut off to produce the Y.
Man, look, we need to record that and play that shit to 10,000. The little clip you just said. We need to cut that clip and play that shit 10,000 times like they do all them other broken badass musics that they play 10,000 times and make us end up liking. Right? We need to cut. Hey, you just did a drop right there, man. You just did a drop. You might need to say that again. That's a heavy duty piece right there, man. That's a heavy duty piece. What you just said right there.
Now look, the Y chromosome has less genetic information than the X chromosome, but the male is naturally more muscular, right? And they coochie fell out in the uterus.
Go ahead.
So they coochie fell out because the mama activated the Y chromosome. Pushed the coochie out and made you, instead of you having ovaries and the clitoris, now you got dick and balls. Right? But all of the zygotes of every child that's ever in the womb is always female first. So if you was a female in the womb before you was a male, you got to know that the woman was first. Genetics prove it. The history prove it. The earth record prove it. And the fact that men can't pass the mitochondria will tell you where all of this coming from.
Hey, that's what I asked brothers earlier, because I asked brothers this question because I thought about it. I said, what would you pick? If you could pick 40 acres and a mule or the coochie, which one would you pick? And a lot of brothers say, oh, I'll take the 40 acres, right? And the old man told me, he said, well, if you, because I was thinking I've been slick taking the 40 acres, man. Like, I don't know, because they put us in this mindset. But he said, okay, so he said then, but the other man picked the coochie, right? But the man that picked the land, he ended up dying out because he couldn't produce no kids without no coochie. So the man that took the coochie inherited the land. His kids inherit the land. Because the other man that took the land, he didn't have no coochie, so he couldn't make no kids. The children are the inheritors of the land by way of the mitochondrial DNA through the mother. That's why they after the kids, and that's why they after the mothers. I'm telling you, man.
Look, what's the purpose of a bar mitzvah and a bar mitzvah?
Go ahead. Let me hear what you
Right. Those are graduations from childhood into adulthood.
Yeah.
That's what they call Judaic tradition.
Right.
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 And age for the bar mitzvah or bar mitzvah is average 13.
Right.
The boy now inherits from his family members giving him his start in life when he turned 13.
Go ahead.
He is responsible to sit under the elders at that point and learn his manly responsibilities in taking care of his family.
Yeah.
The female is the suitor now, and she's supposed to sit and be instructed until she get a man on how to be a wife.
Right.
Once she get because she gonna pick, and she gonna be coached by the women in her clan to pick. But when she picked, the man then have another responsibility. Any man that ever hook up with a woman got a responsibility to assess what she know, right? What she don't know, and how to cooperate with you. Anything that she know that's beneficial, you make sure you enhance that. And anything that's detrimental, you have to let her know. Right? And like a lot of women don't know that dressing provocative automatically is creating a hostile environment for the man that she say she love.
Yeah.
It ain't that he don't want you going out a certain way, but if you go out a certain way, it makes it more difficult for him to serve you and protect you and perform his duties. You're going to keep him fighting all the time.
Right.
Right. But if you respect him, then you carry yourself in a respectable manner that you keep him from having to bust heads.
Right.
Right. Me, I don't really care how she dresses. As long as she happy, I'm happy.
Right.
Man, I don't got no problem with busting heads.
Right.
So it don't matter to me. But the way that everything is structured now, the single women is more modest than the married women. And that doesn't make sense. It's supposed to be the other way around.
That's facts, bro. You're saying a lot. Could you break down the mother-son connection with the Mason, the mitochondria, the information being passed down from the first teacher being the mother?
Everybody know that.
Yeah. Right.
It's in everybody's doctrine, whether it's implied or whether it's overt. In the Old Testament, it's a wisdom is justified of her children. right? In mystic circles, they say wisdom spills from the mouth of the mother and lands on the heads of the babes, right? All of them know that. This a very popular book called At the Feet of the Master. Who you think the master is, mama? Right? And this is the origin of Ma's son, the Mason. The son who sat under the mama to get the wisdom in order to override the intelligence. Because the intelligence alone will make you despotic, but wisdom will make you more attentive to the needs of the collective. So the child that the father picked, he ain't gonna be the one, because he gonna have too many character flaws that if you bring him to his attention, y'all might get into a fight. But the one that was under the guidance and direction of mama normally wins out because he's approaching things with a wisdom's view as opposed to an intellectual linear logic view. I mean, he's seeing from multiple directions the same thing everybody else seeing, but they're only seeing it from one. Right? You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't know what to do with it, you can't use it. And wisdom is the ability to properly apply the knowledge in places where you didn't even know it apply until you tried it out and it worked.
Hey, y'all, we'll take some questions from the crowd, man. We got about 30 minutes. Hey, we'll take some. Hey, y'all got any questions for Rod containing the title? Because a couple people said they had questions. We'll take a couple questions, man, because we on fire right now, man. We in the zone on this mitochondric DNA, the matriarch rule. Man is not older than mitochondric, man. And then show me one man. I got into a debate with some Hebrews, man. I said, man, y'all, they talking about what Adam was the first man. They still telling us this Adam. I'm asking them, did Adam have a belly button? You know, well, we don't know.
If you really want the truth, they don't know if Adam was a man or a woman.
Go ahead.
If you really want the truth, they don't know if he a man or a woman until they pair him with Eve.
Go ahead.
Before that, he's just Adama, meaning he's from the earth.
Yeah.
He earthborn. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what the name Adam means. He's from the earth, from the soil of the earth.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe the rib they talking about was a parthogenic birth. And that Eve was really a daughter helping her mother out.
Go ahead.
As a developing tribal leader. I'm just, giving you an alternative perspective to look at it.
Yes, the Hebrews say they teach it. It's the father line. It's everything from Jacob. It's the father. We can get into all the paradigms of Yaakov and all that. But I'm saying that what they teaching now on the streets is that your father, they overlook religious. It's something like about some religious clans. They overlook blatant facts and science just for because it said right here in the book. So is it possible that book could be wrong? Oh, they see God ain't wrong. And even if you present the evidence to them, they still say, oh, they override God override. If the grass green and God said it's blue in the Bible, that's what it is. That's blue, man. You got to be tripping, man. You talking about some science and all that. You going off too deep.
That's myopic perspective of looking at things.
Yeah.
And the belief that a person holds, it comes out in his character as a character defect if the information is defective.
Go ahead.
Right? So when we look at them books, and we in 2024 negotiating and debating something that the people that is being talked about had no clue it was even being written.
Go ahead.
Because the majority of the story was written years after the so-called death of the so-called person that they talking about. under the matriarchy, we was warring tribes, but we didn't go to war. Vice lords is a comment in the
Yeah, I see it.
section. So vice lords and GDs, vice lords is the parents. The children is gangster disciples, cobra stones, peace stones, black disciples, devil disciples, Satan. All those is the babies. Vice lord is the mother clan, or what we would call it in a way where you can understand it. The vice lord line is the master bloodline across the land, and it's represented by the colors of black and gold. The children off the father's side is the blue house. The children off the mother's side is the red house. And then you have all of the children becoming to their own, and they draw their own families. And then you have other clans start to trickle out of that. Right? Like Big Meat's a 50 boy, right? But he come in through OGs that had ties to these groups called BKs and Flynn's that don't exist anymore. But for the time that they was here, they left offspring as children of a clan, right? And then these offspring form their own clan, and this is what they call gang banging. When somebody try to form his own clan, he's going to always meet with opposition. This opposition that he's meeting with is testing his grit and leadership to determine if he's worthy to the soldiers in the field to be a general that they can take instructions from. So he's going to become embroiled in tribal conflict. The closest to what we used to do before the settlers came is what they do in California. You got a problem with me? Run that fade. Run that fade. Meet me over here and run that fade. Right? And if you about what that life like you say you is, win, lose, or draw, when it's over, you're going to be a man. You're going to take your L or take your W, and you're going to take your ass home and continue to go on about your business. If you feel like the fade wasn't fair because his skills was better than yours, go train. Get in better shape.
That's right. So I took
right. Let him know you coming back. I'm coming back. You got down this time, but let him know you coming back. You asking for a rematch. Where do you think that's come from in boxing? Rematch. Right? All that's tribal culture that they monetize or villainize.
That's what I see.
So back in the day, when you go look at Larry and Angel Bay, they all had somebody with them that throw them hands on their behalf, because they didn't want their leaders throwing hands where they end up jacked up. So they all had a fighter. They had them hands, right? And they can't be no slouch with them hands themselves, because you might be somewhere out and your fighter ain't with you. You got to be able as a man to defend yourself, right? That's the tribal way. All of the gunplay come in and the killing each other because the nigga that took the fade couldn't stand to lose. Now his ego hurt, and ain't none of his OGs telling him what's right, because we got outsiders in our community saying, man, I wouldn't take that. I'd blow his brains out if he whooped me like that. But our OGs didn't raise us like that. They raised us. You get your ass whooped, you go figure out where you lost that, then you go back. Or as our mamas used to tell us, you're going to fight that nigga every day till you win.
Yep. My grandma put you in the car, drive your behind back crying now.
Back to their house.
Don't come around here crying. Oh, yeah, you finna go back around here and fight. Yeah.
So
got that in the gown.
if we really, really understand our history and how we move as a people, and we know that when the unity come, when we see the chiefs together, all of the vice lords chief, they got 5 chiefs, right? Stone's got 1 king. Angel Bay. Crips got one king, Big Tookie. Folks got one king, right? In some of the subsections, you got some princes, you got some dons, right? But only one king. We had two kings, but one of the kings was removed from his position of power under some suspicious circumstances. King David, the king of all kings, right? And King David, if he would have been still around, would have been very close alliances with all of the above, because the goal is to bring all of the clans together in order to remember what they did to take our knowledge from us. How did they brainwash us? Once we figure it out, one of us gonna come back and tell the rest of us they tricked us by putting people that look like us among us to start beef between us and then leave us standing there holding the bag. Look, I had some sisters. My big sister, she'd go down there, and if it get too thick, she'll fight with you. She'll fight right along with you. Because sometimes you be to whoop somebody and they homeboy feels some type of way, and he felt like he should have been the one fighting you. And now you exhausted from the first fight. Now you doing what's called double duty on the fade, right? Then what if you get down on him? Now they need to put two of them on you because one of them can't whoop you. And now we got what's called a gang fight.
Right? They call them a 2 fade minimum. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
2 fade minimum around here, cuz I mean you gotta fade 2 niggas. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you gotta get down. Well, how you get down, like I say.
If you go back and watch COINTELPRO's disruption of the community by targeting the developing leaders, it's gonna be so obvious what we was trying to do and what they was trying to stop us from doing. Right? We trying to